Alright, hello everyone and welcome back for another episode of Space Engineers. Today I'm just in my creative testing world where I'm building some extra stuff here and there just to try stuff out, but today is the new patch day for heavy industry. So we can go ahead and have a look at some of the new stuff. So I've got 2 pages set up here, and this one here this contains all of the stuff that's in the free expansion, well, except for there's a couple new soundtracks added to the jukeboxes, and there's some new LCD posters, but these blocks are the main thing that were added for free players. So we've got the light armor panels here, which are a whole bunch of different thin strips that are really going to help for a lot of builds. These come in both large and small grid options. So yeah, it'll be interesting. We can make some maybe like cover walls or extra seams and little scaffolds between blocks with this. It should be able to fill in a lot of places where you would normally have needed to use a full block or a window or something just to fill it in. I'm especially looking forward to this on small grid because we don't have any. There wasn't any option before to have something that could like cover up conveyors, like the large conveyor junction on small grids. There was no block that like neatly covered them other than windows, which you could still see the yellow conveyor port through. But now we can just put like a pad of like a 9x9, a 3x3 pad, effectively, on it. You know, something just to like cover it up like that. That would cover up a conveyor. So that's that, and then we've got these small magnetic plates, which are, yeah, there's a large grid and a small grid version, which I believe are both available for free. These act like a replacement for landing gears, essentially, so you can have a much sleeker landing gear now. There's also these 1x1 small merge blocks, which would be useful, I think, mostly for building missiles. They appear to be the most used, the best use of this block from what I've seen. I haven't come across anything so far, but we'll see what people come up with in the next couple days. Now onto the paid stuff, which is a bit of a problem. Just starting with the conveyor pipes, I have a minor problem with this, and it's this block here, because if you were to build something with conveyor junctions in the previous patches, you always had to do it in 6 directions. You didn't have an option for a 4-way thing like this, which the devs have just added, and this is a paid option. So one thing I would be putting in is, I've seen tons of mods for conveyor junctions and things like that that just add this sort of cross section or a T section or an L section, other shapes that would be more useful. But unfortunately, to get this non-6 directional conveyor, you actually need to do the paid DLC part of it, which I mean, it's a small thing, I guess, but it does bug me a little bit. So we've got these different kinds of tubes that you can use now instead of conveyors. This cool sorter, which I'm a big fan of. Then moving on, we've got these beams. Actually, did these in small grid as well? No. Is there no small grid pipe? Oh wow, they're only for large grid. Okay. I would have probably put them in small grid as well, but whatever. So we've got the beam blocks, which will be used for a lot of different scaffolding, and the devs were even talking about how you can use them as like pieces of landing gears and all sorts of other shapes. So that can be, these are really quite detailed, and there's a very large variety of them, of corner types and just like flat cube types. Then moving on, we've got the new cylindrical column. This is part of the interior block series, and it's just a circular column. But the if you grab a paint color here, you see that the paint is applied to the exterior armor and not the interior component. So that is a pretty groovy thing for, in my opinion. I just one. Pretty sure that's the color I was using before. Yeah, I quite like that one. We'll have to think of some ways to use it. It almost looks like a you know, one of those massive underwater cables that go between countries. Then we've got the large magnetic plates. These are it should be a, oh yeah, that's a small one. These function like landing gears as well, but they're just of a different shape. And it was a bit of a pity because people were speculating that this acted a bit like a piston from the pictures that we saw in the trailers and whatnot, but that was all just hanging from a piston and it isn't actually like retractable or extendable. But this should be good for doing feet of mechs, I think, or if that problem of destroying voxels by walking is ever fixed. But I think this has a good potential for doing landing gear as well. I quite like that. If you want something that's more symmetrical than the vanilla landing gear, which is a little bit straight and narrow. But moving on, we have a new cargo container, and this also has the same problem as the conveyor port. As you can see, it's got conveyoring on only 4 of the 6 sides, which the normal cargo container the normal cargo container has 6 sides to it anyway, but this will be useful for our base build that we're going to be doing in the upcoming episodes. I'm a big fan of this one. And then moving on, we've got the assembler and refiner. And this is actually interesting because this is a block that is slightly differently shaped instead of just being a full-on reskin, because the normal assembler is a 1x2 by 1, so it's 2 blocks long and 1 tall and 1 deep. But this one is actually different in that you can put all 4 of the upgrade modules on one side, and you can even walk into it with a catwalk, although I did see posted on Reddit that if you place a refinery and you link up the conveyor ports here with the assembler, there's actually there's a little railing that gets in the way of walking between them, so it sort of defeats the purpose of being able to walk between these. You can do it with like this slot here. If you do it like that, you can walk in like that, but then the conveyor ports aren't linked up. Oh, and there's actually more upgrade ports on the bottom and on the top, is it? Yeah, okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it's still got 4 slots for upgrades. So this is the one that I think has been changed the most, and it's more than just a reskin of a block. It's actually changed the shape, and that could actually change how you place it inside of a ship, which I think is pretty cool. And then we also have the new thrusters. So this is like a counterpoint to the sci-fi atmospheric and the sci-fi ion thrusters that were added in Sparks of the Future. Now we've got an industrial form of the thrusters here, and they come in both large grid and small grid versions of the large and small thrusters. So those were the large grid ones, and here we have the small grid thrusters. This one's got some cool like coil tubing things around it, which I think is really cool. I'm a big fan of those. And then we have the large ones here, which this is the small grid one, but it looks remarkably similar to the large grid one, and it even has ports on either side as well. I don't know if the normal hydrogen thruster does or not. Let's see. Go into the small grid variant here. That's the large one. Yeah, okay, so that one has conveyor ports like that anyway. I wonder if are they the same length? They look like they're different lengths. But, well, they actually are, so one of them is longer than the other. Interesting, but do they take up and they do take up a different size profile. I like add blocks to it. Can you place them on the front here where these ones normally work? That one gets in the way. Yeah, okay, so they're actually they're a different length, so that's another difference they've made over the sci-fi thrusters, which were the exact same profile as their other counterpoints. The only other block that is here is this new vertical button panel, which if we go into our normal character, you can see here it actually has 3 buttons on it. So it's got this button and these 2 little buttons. So this would be perfect for doing like elevators that need to go up and down, and that's just a replacement for the, if we go button panel. Yeah, you can use that instead of these. They take up the same area, but you can have one that's like standing up tall instead of being up like flat, sort of extended out to the side. I'm still a big fan of the sci-fi one that has LCD screens on it, which you can put your own images into. That basically covers it. Now there are some bug fixes which I'll be going into when we hop over to our survival series, and I'll go through one of the most major changes, which is going to be awesome for building ships if it works as intended. So I'll see you in a second when we hop back over there. Alright, and now we're back over in our survival world here. Let me just check that is recording. Yep. Okay. I realized between recordings that I did forget something, which was the new hydrogen tank. I believe that's... yeah, it's in the list here. So this is a replacement for the hydrogen tank. So we've got a more sort of spherical thing here, which, you know, it's probably going to be great for doing a little fuel depot or fuel silo or something over here, perhaps. Now, getting into the episode here, what I want to do is I need a ship to help me basically weld up everything here. And I would like that to be flying, if possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a docking port on our Achilles over here. That's going to probably be sitting vertical, perhaps. Maybe I'll add an offshoot to the current conveying that I have. If I come up here and up here. Okay, so I'm going to put another conveyor on this side going out. So this is going to be for probably can fit something like that, maybe. I'll move it back a bit. Let's go out like that. So we've got a bit more room to connect up to. So we need this block, and that block. Grab the components for that. Has that drone got its dampeners on? So drone, remote control. Does. Okay, turn those off. There we go, now it's not burning its docking port. So we can design it up this way so that if we want to, we can have a welding ship that connects with its like rear backing into the Achilles docking port here. The other option I had a thought of is just doing it straight up vertically. So that might be a bit tricky with this antenna here, but I could see myself just like flying in to this point. So I grab another connector and place that like this. That should give us all of the docking ports that we'll ever need on here. I'll just set it up to produce a few more of these. Actually, I'll just get it to produce a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm not going to run out while building this little assembling drone. Get some of these and some detectors. Oh, and a bunch of motors. Yeah. So my assembler's going to run through all of that while I'm building my little drone. Oh, not drone, but welding ship. So I'll just have this set up. Okay, perfect. So now what I need is to grab out a bunch of stuff. Just to get started. Should do. And what I want is a decent platform to build on. Something that's nice and flat with the ground. And I think I have, yeah, I've got an access point down here. I can just grab stuff out of these oxygen tanks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and pick up all this scrap that's come from whatever. Maybe that was flung off of a leg. And I'm just going to build a temporary platform here. So I can do some building. Just need it to be big enough to build a little welding ship on. Alright, now the interesting thing here is we can actually build this with subgrids. Finally, as it said in the update notes that the subgrids will be accounted for in thruster dampener, so if you build a ship with subgrids it shouldn't just slowly drift to the ground under its own weight because it's not calculating any subgrid stuff. So let me grab our landing gears and I'll see if I can demonstrate that in this episode. So what I need is, I've got thrusters here, I just need, I've got landing gear already on that page. It's getting a bit messy, I need to like properly organize this. I've got batteries, cockpits, yeah, that's everything I'll need. Alright, so we'll start with a landing gear. One idea I had was actually making this in large grid. I could like do the absolute bare bones of a ship, just like a cargo container, a welder, a cockpit, a battery, and some thrusters, and a gyroscope. But I think it'll probably end up being a bit large anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up a block, so we've got some clearance from the ground. I'm going to give myself a point here, which I can just like sort of jump up onto anything that I make. Now, how much steel plate have I got left now in the 14? So I'm going to grab some more steel plate. Grab some components. And some construction components. Okay. And we'll just pretty this platform up a little bit. Okay, and you know what? We could even... I want to see how... If we go for armor plates, is that what they're called? What are they called? Armor blocks, they're called like armor panel. So if I go and chuck that over here, I could actually use these instead. I wonder what the, do these have good connection points? Oh, they actually do. That's pretty groovy. So we can use them as a better alternative to full blocks. I like that. Okay, so what we need here is a large cargo container. That's going to be the center of this vehicle. So I've got one on my hot side too. Excellent. Okay, so for this to work, we're going to need a large cargo container with a large port going forwards and a large port downwards. So we'll put a connector basically where the landing gear foot is right now. So we need this large cargo container, and I did want to test, maybe what I'll do is, rather than going for like the full thing straight away, I'm going to test whether or not this stuff with subgrids actually works. So we go and grab a advanced rotor part here, and just pretending like I was building a, let me go with actually, oh no, they're not in small grid, so I can't use those new conveyor pipes, unfortunately. But if I was to just grab this, and then we need a welder, and what if I have like a Where's our grinder? I need the grinder, I believe, has all of the options here. So if I put like a welder on this side and a grinder on this side, so the idea here is this would be a multifunctional construction vehicle that can switch between a welder and a grinder. Now this like conveyor port isn't actually lined up with this at all. This is just going to be a test ship to see if this idea is going to work. We have hypothetically got everything that we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these dampeners on and then just cut this free. Now what we should see is... Okay, so it's already not doing it. I was a little bit skeptical. It seemed to be too good to be true. But this is the behavior that you normally get. I don't know if it's just because you need to like reboot the world or something, but maybe it has something to do with the settings, perhaps. I wonder if this is just design that I will go with. This is kind of cool, although a little bit annoying that you have to like constantly, you know, maintain this balance of it. I think, yeah, and it doesn't calculate it backwards either. So, is that just something that I heard them talking about options in blocks? I don't know if it's calculated this attached mass here. So if I like, what I want to do is I want to spin this back to 0. Would that be like a upper limit of 180 degrees or something like that? A lower limit of like 0 maybe? So I get some thrust, some movement here. And then we go back to reverse. And it should... That's switching them around in the right way that I want. Might need to speed that up. I only got so much power I can use. But that would effectively be how I like switch the tools around on this. Yeah, that would work. Okay, but the issue here is I have to constantly do this thrusting. Now, is that a thing to do with the inertia tensor? I wonder if that might change that. Will actually like factor that in now? Oh no, that's even worse. Okay. Well, I had lower expectations, but maybe that's just a bug. It could also be that this is a pre-existing world. I haven't got a clue. Maybe it's a cockpit option, perhaps. Got main cockpit. Anything on here? That's the target indicator mod, so that wouldn't be that. How do you... They said they had like options for toggling power and whatnot, but is that in like the connector panel or something like that? Let me just turn these thrusters off so we've got some extra time on that battery to do some extra testing. Now if I come up to my connectors on this ship here, you should see some options for like switching whether or not it will, override power transfer. That's it, allow power transfer while current grid is powered off. Alright, and use for parking. Cool. So that's all basically just on the connectors. There's no options for that on other stuff like on the cockpits or anything like that. So that's to work with the new behavior of you can hit the P, the handbrake button, without like disconnecting all your connectors. And just like do parking gear. So that'll be good for a large grid rover that's got like other rovers parked inside of it or something like that. But unfortunately this isn't working, so what I'm going to do is I might actually just leave this here. So I'll add like a solar panel onto it so I can just get some power up while it's just sort of idling here. So and then we'll build our proper one. But I'm going to keep this here just in case this like issue gets hot fixed or something like that in a patch, if that's an actual thing, or if that was, it could have been just someone on Reddit being like a troll and saying that this is an actual thing. I didn't actually check if this was in the official patch notes or not, so that could be on me, but it would be nice. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give myself a little bit more clearance for this so I can place a connector like that. So that's what we'll be building our cargo container on. And that was on like page 8 or something. There we go. So, well, I'm going to do it in the same sort of design. So I'll have it be a little bit lopsided, just because I don't want to put like the cockpit on top or anything and make it like really ugly. So we're going to go with the welder's going to be on the front. We could put like an oxygen tank if I need it on the back, and then to the sides it needs to be conveyed to a cockpit. So yeah, we'll just use the small ports on the side, so that'll be fine. So we've got a small conveyor port here, which we're going to connect up to a cockpit. Which, can you place a cockpit just like straight onto that? Maybe if I had I've got like a block here. Can I place it like that? I can, sweet. So that should be piped up. And maybe I'll pipe up the other one or something like that. I could then put something that has a large grid connection on there. Maybe even like I could put a grinder there. But then we want to put our tools on the front here. So that's got pretty good reach forward, and I'll be able to see what I'm doing from the cockpit. So what we're going to go with is, where's the center of the block here? No, I'm going to weld up this so I can see exactly what I'm doing. Sometimes when I don't, this is just a me problem, but sometimes when I don't weld up the whole block, I place stuff in the incorrect position, or it's just like one block over and the connector ports aren't lined up. So I have to sort of like unbuild the whole thing, redo it. Very frustrating, but let's not do that. Just make sure I've placed the cockpit correctly. Yeah, that'll be fine. So then we go with our welder, which we're going to place like that. And then we're going to put, you put like the thruster pack on this side. Yeah, I'll do that. So what we could do, we could put like a large thruster here, and then we have all the like directional thrusting on this port maybe. So I have like some thrusters. I want enough so that I can like tilt up and down without going completely bananas. So we need some sideways thrusts. Where should I put those? I could put them on the top, although I don't really want to because then it gets to be a bit taller than I'd like. I could. I'm planning on placing a battery here on this spot. Got forwards, backwards, up, and then you can just use gravity to go down. So we just need left and right and batteries and a gyroscope. So let's go grab our batteries. I'm not going to need, well, I'll design, this is designed for atmospheric, and it doesn't need an oxygen tank. But, I mean, I suppose if I'm going to be taking it long term, I should build it for the long term. So if I'm going to be using this to build on, say, Mars, then it will need an oxygen tank of some kind. So we'll put our oxygen tank here, and then I can stick batteries just underneath it, I suppose. Should have a decent enough attachment point like that. Battery there. It's probably not going to be enough power, so I could put another battery underneath the welder perhaps. So we could have 2 batteries. Probably want 3 batteries. I could build it up like a sort of tail kind of staggered thing. With this sort of design. Should be nice and centrally aligned, yeah. That works. And then we need some thrusters to go left and right. And best way, what I'll do is I will use this rear battery here. You should be able to place them sort of on the sides of that, although I think I need to put a block there. Yeah. So let's grab a slope. Yeah, I'll use bases. So we've got a sort of like a, I don't know, mosquito tail or something like that. And then we need our power thrusters. Hopefully this will be enough. So we'll have 3 going to either side. Alright. And then all I need is a gyroscope so I can place that. How does that sound? Gyroscope. Yeah, just put that in here. You can put what block is least likely to get destroyed. It's probably like safest between the thrusters. I could even put like a little panel, an armor panel, over the top of it now. So that is a thing now, which is excellent. So yeah, I'll just use this. And we're going to get pretty heavy with these, so maybe we'll add 2 gyroscopes. And now I'm just going to make sure that they're in the same orientation, so that if I'm doing any like overrides to flip it, it'll be okay. I hate how that just automatically switches. So that's the small pointing out one facing forwards, which is what we want. Small pointing out one facing forwards. Okay, so they're in the same orientation now. So that should be enough thrust to keep us going, I think. So let's get this all welded up and then we'll go from there. Alright, so now we should be adding the finishing touches on our little welding ship here, just so that it's functional really. We could do some further improvements to it visually in the long term, but I'll probably, if I'm to do that, I'll probably do some like gribbling or whatever between episodes. I've noticed that these thrusters here are in the same line here, so it'll be interesting to see if the thruster flame damages these or not. I'm hoping not, but we'll see how we go. Now let's just name this grid as our Atmo welder. I've already got one. I think I've already got one, so I'll just go Atmo welder. If I'm to make a blueprint of it, so we'll just go with like Atmo welder no suit, sure. And we want to add our connector for our welder, so we can find that in our G menu, easy peasy. So now that is connected to a landing gear. Thrusters are all operational. I did actually grab out a air vent, so I realized I needed one. Let's whack one of them on the front, so we can get our oxygen tank all filled up. should be filling up. Oh no, this isn't done. Aha, I knew I'd figure something. There we go, now it should be filling. Why not? Why not? Let's go there. Yes. Tank. Filling? Yes, okay, it's just filling very slowly. But it is filling. So we are operational, our dampeners are on, so we can cut this free. There we go. That's a little bit more like what we want. Nice and stable, so we'll just grab our switch lock here, which I normally put on 9, or put our welder here. Let me grab the tool version, and then we'll grab the one that I can toggle on and off. Thrusters and gyroscopes should be okay. I don't really need to fiddle with anything. What I'll do is I'll add thrusters, all of them, to one group so I can just turn them off while I'm connected to something. Let's do this. There we go. Grab that group. I haven't added any lights to this, that's something I should do. Oh, and a docking camera. But, I mean, yeah, I can see from underneath here. So, will that do damage to those thrusters? I don't know, let me just lunk it up like this, can I? It can hold itself up like that. Yeah, nice. So, just drift a bit with those thrusters on full. And we'll see if that's actually done any damage to them or not. And these gyroscopes, for the time being, can be turned down a little bit. So like 0.75. Just so we're not going around too crazily. Yep, that feels a lot nicer. Alright, so let's plonk ourselves back down here. Turn our dampeners off. Grind that down. Okay, so has this been damaged? No, so it's either very slowly or not at all, so we should be okay. What we're going to do is we're going to dock this up. Oh, the batteries, of course. Yeah, I need to add that to a group. Doi. And so we can charge them when we dock up. So this is the vertical docking one, so let's see if we can pop it on to this station neatly. And let me turn the connector strength down, so I don't really want to get jerked around on top of this. There we go. Then we can turn our thrusters off. And I should be able to hop in and out of that easily enough. Just catch myself on the ladder here. Can I get back into that from the ground here? Yeah, it looks like I can just hop in the side here. Yeah, okay, that works. So what we'll do is we'll turn these batteries, welder batteries, to recharge. So that can recharge up, and I'll put some more lights on it, and then we can get working on our new base area here. So with this drone I'll be able to carry a whole bunch of components with me. Oh, that's actually filling up the oxygen tank as well with these. That's pretty cool. Quick fill on that. Very nice. I could even use this to fly. It should have enough range to go to that new economy base that spawned in ages ago, right at the start. Where is that? That one over there. Although I might want to build like a shuttle, an atmospheric shuttle or something that can fly a lot faster. Just get me there in a fraction of the time, because this thing doesn't really have that much acceleration. It's only got 3 thrusters for going forward, so yeah, I'll build something else for going in there. And I'll call it there for this episode. So thanks for checking out the new industrial update with me, and we'll be able to use some of those new blocks in our base over there, probably the hydrogen tank, and we'll try. Well, I'm glad I waited, because I'll be trying to use the tubes for piping things up. I think those will look quite cool. So all that in the next episode. So Until then, see you later. Okay, I did actually have to update some mod settings, but while doing that, I have reloaded my worlds. I just thought I'd go and retest this mining drone over here. Oh, the welding drone over here. Welding ship. That had the subgrid on it, and it is actually working as intended now. So as we can see, we can rotate this. Actually, I'm going to turn that speed up a little bit. Let's boost that velocity to -3. -5. Faster. Fuck it. Yeah. So now we've got a quick spin. Cool beans. Okay, so that actually works. That is very cool. So maybe I'll actually use this design instead. So rebuild it so I can have a welder and a grinder. That is actually very cool. I am a big fan of that. So if we do that, we can have the welders on that left side. We can keep the cockpit where it is, and then I can just put the batteries and the thrusters on the right hand side. So let me just fly that back over onto our little construction platform over here. So then we can work on this properly. I can add a connector on the underneath. And that is very cool. That's probably my favorite thing in the entire update. Oh, I wonder that opens up so many things for mechs. Oh, that's so cool. Like you can put a little jetpack on your Gundams. Oh, that is hype as hell. That is by far the coolest thing in this update. Alright, so we're gonna try and do tons of builds with subgrids like that now. Absolutely looking forward to that. Hell yeah. Props to Keen. That is dope. Alright, so that's it for this week. I'll see you guys next